Hey, Wemblog World Entertainment, and recently we did a video about what happens next with Predator, seeing as Dan Trachtenberg, the director of the last 3 Predator movies for Disney, has now signed a 3-year first look deal with Paramount, and of course, with Badlands flopping badly at the box office, where it cost Disney $80 million, that's what they've lost. Big questions were raised as well. Do they put it on pause? Do they just scrap everything now? What happens, especially seeing as he was trying to set up everything? Well, Trachtenberg himself has now come out, and it's kind of more... It's a statement to say he's not done with the franchise, but at the same time, it's kind of damage control, where he's trying to say, like, everything's cool. You know, that Badlands did what we wanted it to do and all this type of crap. You'll see what I mean. But he is trying to say that he's not necessarily done with Predator. However, he's not specifically saying Disney are still on board with him, which I think speaks volumes as well. And of course, the question would be, well, even if he was to stick around, what would they do? Because we know they're not going to give him more money to put it on the big screen. That's not happening. And unfortunately, because he made a movie that bombed so badly like Badlands, they're going to shift their entire attention with the Predator franchise to streaming, which is horrible for a franchise like Predator because they are now just going to use it as content. But we're going to have a look at this. But there's also one extra little story that popped up which is interesting for the insanity of it, and it's about a Predator Badlands trailer. An advert that was put up, and yeah, you'll see. We'll get to that, don't worry. It's weird. But anyway, it's saying here, Paramount Pictures recently signed filmmaker Dan Trachtenberg to a 3-year first look directing and producing deal. Having helmed Prey, Predator Killer of Killers, and Predator Badlands, there's been concern among fans about what this means for his involvement with the franchise. Really? I haven't seen any people going, oh no, don't let him go, please Dan, stay. I haven't seen any of that. So after all, there have been some strong hints that Trachtenberg may be plotting everything from the return of Arnold Schwarzenegger's Dutch to an eventual Alien vs Predator crossover. Talking to IO9, the director was asked if his Paramount deal means he won't helm another Predator movie for Disney and 20th Century Studio. So they just flat out asked him, like, hey, what's happening? Now, it's interesting that they asked him, hey, because you've signed a deal with Paramount, what does it mean for the Predator franchise? As opposed to, seeing as you put a movie up that lost Disney $80 million, do you think you're still on track to do more? No, they just went for the softball question. But this was his answer, saying, it does not mean that. I'm simultaneously figuring out all the next steps for the Predator franchise. I'm in this moment that I was in when Prey came out, where I was like, what do I do next? And got very excited about a Predator protagonist and got very excited about an animated movie with multiple time periods. And then they just happened to go at the same time. And so that's where I'm at with Predator now, is, oh my god, there are so many exciting things we can do. But also now I have this deal at Paramount where I'm thrilled, and they are thrilled to make some of the original movies that I've always had in my head and heart. And of course, they also have very cool IP and all that. You know, timing may affect certain things, but both things are in my heart. Anything's on the table. Now, what you have to understand about what he's saying there is he's flat out trying to say that the whole franchise of Predator is now under his control. That very much is not the case. Especially seeing as you notice, as I said it before I read what his whole thing was, there's no mention of Disney are happy with him. That Disney are on board and Disney are telling him, oh yes, what's your plans next? You notice he doesn't say that. What is interesting is that he's saying original ideas that he's had in his head. So obviously his own movies. But then he mentions the very cool IPs that Paramount has. So is he trying to look at maybe one of the movies that they have on their calendar and say, I want to do that? Because if he's got a first look deal, he can say that. He can go, I want one of these. I want to do Transformers. I want to do Ninja Turtles. I want to do whatever over here, Top Gun or something. I don't think they'd give him any of that stuff. Well, I don't think they'd give him Top Gun and stuff like that, but Turtles and stuff, maybe. So he's saying anything's on the table, but it all is on timing. So that is clear that when Disney eventually announce another Predator project that will be a streaming exclusive without a shadow of a doubt, and they don't pick him, you're gonna have, and he has put it specifically in there, that he can very simply turn around and go, oh, the timing wasn't right. I was working on this thing for Paramount when they approached me to come up with this. That's where he puts in that little kind of get out of jail free card. So it's saying, so just because the door is now open to him potentially taking a crack at IPs like Transformers, G.I. Joe, Ninja Turtles and Cloverfield, it doesn't mean we've seen the last of Trachtenberg's take on Predator. When we'll get that and what it will look like remains to be seen, of course, and it could be several years before he's able to return to the Sci-Fi franchise. Prey, Predator Killer of Killers and Predator Badlands were all largely standalone, though the latter certainly left the door wide open to a sequel. They all did. And that's one of the other issues you have with the guy, is he made 3 movies that are very loosely connected to one another, but also were left open hugely for sequels, direct sequels to those things, and rather than do the sequels, he moved on to the next project. So like Disney were obviously very happy with what they got with Prey, and went, we want you to do more. And instead of going Prey 2, which he set up, he went, I'm going to do an animated movie. And with everything he was setting up in that, he went, I'm going to do Badlands. And look, a lot of Badlands' fault isn't just his. Some of it has to go on Disney, because Disney were the ones that pressured him into PG-13. Doesn't mean he needed to make it a Disney-fied bloody Predator movie with the Predator having this little fun sidekick and all that type of crap. I can't even remember what that little thing was called. It was a bud or something, wasn't it? So it's like, you didn't need to go that route. But the idea that you were like, oh, let's make a PG-13, I think that element came from Disney. But the fact that he's trying to say, oh, I have so much plans for the next steps to figure out the Predator franchise. That's important. He doesn't even just say the next Predator movie. He says for the Predator franchise, which really tells you he thinks he's in full control of the Predator franchise. Unless, unbeknownst to all of us, maybe he is. Maybe Disney gave him full control. Which, that's a massive mistake, because again, Prey was well received, especially between critics. But fans, even though it was well received, it came out better for a lot of people. But there was still those people who weren't fully on board with it. Killer of Killers was very mixed in their reviews for the people who actually watched it, because nobody really seemed to have cared about that movie. And Badlands, need you say more, it bombed at the box office. Like, that tells you everything you need to know about the bloody thing. Like, it was a disaster. Like, it earned 184 million, and of course they did every piece of cope they could to try and say it made the most out of all the franchise without ever putting into inflation. And once you did that, it wasn't even in the top 5 of those movies. So I don't know. I don't think he's going to be back. I don't think Disney are going to take the risk on him. And why would they wait so long if he's going to be doing things for Paramount to go, well, we'll just wait till he's free? No, of course they won't. They'll want content for Disney Plus, and they'll move forward with one. But this part of the story, which is the interesting one, Predator Badlands advert banned for appearing menacing. That's right, you heard that right. Wait till you hear this. Recently in the UK, As reported by the BBC, a Predator Badlands advert in Glasgow has sparked some controversy with the Advertising Standards Authority for inappropriate depictions of violence. What was the scene that caused such a fuss? It was Deck holding Fia up when they first met, with a clear showing of her severed body. It lasted about 2 seconds in the 10-second advert. Two parents, this is how this got banned. Two parents complained to the ASA about and argued that such an advert isn't suitable to be displayed outdoors. 20th Century Studios argued that the scene was brief and that the nature of it emphasized that Fia was a robot and not a human. The studio also added that the trailer had already been checked and approved by third parties and previously amended based on their feedback. So the BBC reported, the ASA said the alien, depicted after having dismembered the smaller figure featured in the advert, appeared menacing. Whilst we acknowledged 20th Century Studios' comment that the smaller figure was not actually a human, but rather a synth robot, we considered that was not clear from the ad. The ASA added, it said the close-up shot of the alien's face and "Welcome to a World of Hurt" caption would also have frightened younger kids. The advert breached the social responsibility and harm and offence provisions of the UK's advertising code, it concluded. Two people complained to say, hey, that robot's cut in half, you can't show that out on the street. So it's a big billboard, apparently, big electric billboard that the trailer was playing on, and they complained saying, you know, you're showing a decapitated body. I also love how the ASA said the alien depicted having been dismembered. So they're saying they tell Deck cut Fia in half, or Fia, even though that's not the case. Plus, the trailer would show that she is on the ground talking while in half, still talking when he lifts her up, clearly a robot. So why are you sitting there saying this is like depicting violence and stuff? It's like, what the hell did they do when posters showed up then? Because I don't know if they knew this, she was still in half on the posters, strapped to his back. So just the lunacy of that this trailer got banned in Glasgow because two parents, that's all it took, two parents complained about the bloody thing. That's how bad things are getting nowadays. It's insane. In fact, I'm pretty sure you do have Aldi stores in the US, and I think maybe in Canada as well. The German retail, well, it's not retail, it's supermarket. But they have now all the time a Christmas advert where they introduced this character. It's a carrot. I'm not lying here. He's a carrot, and his name is Kevin. Kevin the carrot. When he was first introduced in an advert about 3-4 years ago now, maybe a little more, one person complained about the advert because obviously, you know, he's on a kitchen table filled with Christmas food. All the food is talking, but Kevin is like getting close to being eaten. One person in Ireland complained. One. And they banned the advert until they didn't. They did reverse it about 2 weeks later, but the fact that they actually banned that advert, which was like, it was a cute little advert. You can even get little teddies and everything of little Kevin the carrot. Look him up. You can probably even look up the adverts. But one person complained, and in a whole country with like 6 million people, one person complained, and they pulled that advert again for about 2 weeks before they put it back up. But man, people are really sensitive nowadays, aren't they? But anyway, Dan Trachtenberg, is he or isn't he going to continue with the Predator franchise? God only knows. But the big question is, what is the future for the Predator franchise? That is what we need to know. Quite frankly, I think it's streaming. That's what its future is. But what do you guys think? Do you think Dan Trachtenberg is done? Do you think he will return? Do you think anyone actually wants him to return? And what do you think about this advert being banned because 2 parents complained? Let us know. And with that, I shall leave it there for this one. So do like and share and subscribe and all that good stuff. Cheers. I'll catch you in the next one.